Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Kizer Latt Vind Mini. Now, before I go any further in this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 6.875 inches with a blade length coming in at 3 inches, a cutting edge of 2.75 inches with a blade width of 0.75 inches. We have a blade thickness of 0.12 inches with a blade steel of N690 with a spear point style blade sporting a very nice flat grind. We also have a handle length of 3.875 inches with a handle thickness of 0.42 inches, along with a handle width of 0.875 inches. We have handle material being G10 and a pretty nice tuxedo-ish look here with a little white inlay of G10. And we also have a tip-up right-hand-only user carry with a weight coming in at a pretty light 2.25 ounces, living up to the meaning of the term Latt Vind, which is Swedish for light breeze. So, nice little fun fact for you there. We have a price coming in at $69. So, which is really middle of the road for your average Kizer budget knife. The price I don't have a huge issue with, but there are a couple things about this knife that I do have a little bit of an issue with. Before we get into that, let's take a look at some size comparisons. I think I'm going to make the size comparisons a little quick today because I think these two will do plenty. We have the CJRB Rhea as well as the Civivi Elementum. So as you can see, I think just about everybody knows at least one of these two knives, if not probably both of them. So as you can see right there, yeah, there you have it. And just for the sake of saying I did it, here's your Benchmade bug out, which will also give you a good indication as well. Obviously, a little bigger than that. So there's your size comparisons. Now let's get talking about this blade. Now the blade here, I'm going to bring the Rhea back out because the blade really reminds me of the Rhea. I mean, my God, look at that. Obviously, there's a little bit more of a pronounced belly on the Rhea. The Latt Vind, we'll call it the LV. The LV is a little more of a parallel lines from spine to belly down to the base of the knife, as to where, as I said before, the Rhea has a little bit more of a pronounced belly, but more so speaking the tip of the knife from, let's see here, try and hold these in one hand, like that. I mean, very, very, very similar. So they're just worth pointing out. And now I also see a lot of the Monterey Bay Knives EZC 1.5 in this guy. Now, something I really can't get past. There's definitely some line differences. I mean, by no means do I think Kizer is trying to take anything from Monterey Bay Knives. Needless to say, the EZC 1.5 is a 10 times better knife than this will ever be. But I do see some similarities in there too, especially with the blade shape. So I thought that was worth pointing out. I will also say this knife has a very sharp reading behind the edge of 16 thousandths, and I do like the simplicity of the blade, and I do kind of like how the tip. I do notice that's probably the biggest distinguishing difference between this blade and the blade of the Rhea as well as the EZC 1.5 is I do feel like this tip is just a little higher up of the base, from the base. So you have like the midpoint of the blade coming out and the tip sits a little higher up. I think the EZC 1.5 is more right towards the middle, and the Rhea may even be a little higher than this. But nonetheless, it is a very useful blade, and it does have its own little bit of unique look to it as far as the way the belly curves up, and you have a very nice tip to work with. Not a whole lot of belly right towards the end. It flattens out a little, which I do personally like. There's also a really good job of very little blade branding on this knife. You have just a little Kizer logo right there, and on the other side, really not much at all, just an item number and the steel N690. So I will always like that. I will always appreciate that. I think that is the perfect place to put any blade brand or yeah, obviously, the knife brand. Just an excellent spot to put it to get the point across and not try just shoving it down someone's throat. You also have some really nice jimping on the spine and the index finger portion of this knife. I won't call it a choil, but it's definitely where you put your index finger most of the time, right there, and your thumb up here. Again, it gives you that good kind of maybe a pinch grip of some sort that I've come to really like in a knife, and so I do like that it has that there. So overall, a pretty solid blade. But then you get to the handle and ergos, and that's, personally, for me, this is where I start to scratch my head a little. The ergos are very average. They're not bad, but I'm really not digging this this little slight swell you have here along the bottom of the handle. It doesn't feel bad, but I don't think it's doing any good for better ergos, and it just proportionally, aesthetically, it gives the knife kind of a clunky, nah, just not my thing. I don't think, I think it takes away from the knife. I think if that was either flat or maybe even curved in a little, it'd give this knife much better aesthetics, a lot more attractive appearance. But like I said, I do really like the tuxedo look. They're definitely going for a gentleman style carry here, and I do appreciate that because there's not enough really good gentleman carries out there. But then when you get into the gentleman talk of a knife, I don't think a gentleman's carry should ever have a lanyard hole. I'm sorry, but if you're dressed up, if you're going somewhere nice, if you're trying to be more than casual, you're not gonna want a big lanyard dangling from your pocket anyway. So I don't think a gentleman's carry should really. It just doesn't need a lanyard hole. So that needs to go on this one. The deep carry clip I really like. The screws are recessed. The clip itself is not recessed, but it's still going to go in and out of the pocket just fine for you. But then it's the real bright poppy satin, and it's got the name, the Latt Mini on it. Again, a gentleman's carry is supposed to be a little more discreet. It's not supposed to have so much attention to it, especially the clip, which is what you're going to see most when it's in the pocket. So I think they kind of got a little crisscrossed in where they were trying to go. I think the black and white, I think, is awesome. But then the extra belly or the swell down here at the handle and the satin on the clip, as well as the lanyard hole, kind of contradicts the whole gentleman's carry theory. So I don't, just not a big fan of that at all. And overall, too, you're really just missing the blade to handle ratio. Now, I'm not talking blade to handle, I'm talking blade to handle, because the blade is very simple, very attractive, very nice. Then you get down here, and it's just, to be totally honest, and I'm not trying to be too harsh on this knife, but it's kind of a train wreck when it gets to the lines along the handle. This area up here I'm fine with. You got to have an area for your flipper tab. I get all that. This is cool, and this down here is okay if that was just filled in and not there. But yeah, the swell here just really takes away from the overall lines, and it really brings the aesthetics down, which is a shame because this is a type of a knife that I usually do gravitate to, but there's just enough it kind of throws me off of the aesthetics when you're talking the handle. And again, the ergos don't really do it any favors either. It's not bad. I to be honest, I don't feel any real hot spots or anything. It's just a very neutral grip, and having the appearance it does, it gives me no reason to really jump up and down for this one. But I will say I do really like the access you have to the liner lock. It's extremely easy to get to, and it works really good. The blade is very smooth, and it is nice having the multiple deployment options getting into the action, which is pretty good on this knife. The action is good, but even here in this category, we do have a little bit of a hurdle to get over. So as you can see, there is a flipper and there is a front flipper. The front flipper works pretty darn good. I have no issues with it whatsoever. I think it works just fine. I would put it with any other front flipper in its respective price category, and I think it would, do pretty well. Nothing really against that. But then back on the actual regular rear flipper area, I don't know what. It's like Kizer kind of almost ran out of what to do here, because now I will say the action, as far as flipping the action's fine. There's no issue with the action. The action really is great, front or rear flipping it. But back here, you really feel that on your index finger, and you almost kind of have to give it the Spyderco Akuchi treatment. Let me grab that real quick. So on the Akuchi, you have this wheel, and if you try and deploy this knife with your fingertip, it will quickly eat your fingertip up. You have to use kind of the fattier midsection of your fingertip to flip it out, and then it works fine. It doesn't mess up your finger. You're good to go. I really like this knife. That's more what we're talking about right here with this LV Latt Vind. You have to not use, if you use your fingertip right here, I mean, you can do it once and it's not going to bother you, but you start fidgeting with it and do it, it's going to really aggravate your fingertip worse than the Akuchi would. So, and you don't want to use the very middle of your finger because it's too soft there, and it really does become kind of a point that digs into your index finger to where that right there, it'll start to be a little painful. So you really have to get a feeling of where to put your index finger on this. You kind of want to go like 2/3. So like if you have, a third, 2/3 all the way. You want to kind of hit that not fingertip, but just below your fingertip and flip it out that way. Once you get that down, it's not bad. It's not, I mean, you still feel it, and really it is still, in my opinion, it is still a little aggravating. So it's hard for me to get by that. But again, the pure action of the knife is really good. It's really good. It's your typical Kizer. Kizer has great action. Their detents are always down pretty, about as good as you can get, especially for a budget knife. In my opinion, they're just as good as Civivi. But yeah, it just doesn't feel good on this flipper area back here. Not sharp. It's not going to cut you by any means, but it'll poke you a little. After a couple times, you'll start to get a little raw on your fingertip there, and it doesn't feel good. So my overall thoughts with this knife is there's a lot of hits, but there's just as many misses. I really do like the blade shape. I think the blade shape's fantastic. I like the jimping and the actual, secure grip you have. Whether or not it's a, perfectly comfortable grip, you still have a good grip on the knife. And overall, as far as trying to, establish the gentleman's carry tag for this, I don't know if they did that. I think they still made a decent knife here. Is whether or not I would recommend this to someone comes down to this. Would you use it more as a front flipper? And, of course, would you use it more as a front flipper, which I think is pretty darn good as a front flipper. Not one of the best I've ever handled, but the action's great. The tab's up there good enough. You get a good enough traction on your finger, and the detent's also nice enough to where you can do that. But you can also do a much better job of it, a lot like that right there. So if you're doing it more as a front flipper, I would say, sure, go for it. If you want to use this knife more as just a regular true flipper, you can do it, and the action's going to be nice. You're going to like the action, but just keep in mind that you are going to feel that flipper area back there, and it's not going to feel great all the time. Again, I can do it once, no big deal whatsoever, but if I just sit here and I'm talking to you guys and I'm fidgeting with it, if you're a fidgeter with your knives, you're probably not going to like the rear flipper on this, or unless you have like super, super calloused fingers. So that too may be okay, but overall, I mean, you get the Kizer quality, you get the Kizer action, and, there's parts of the knife that I think look really great, and then there's other parts that aren't necessarily my jam. But overall, if you like front flippers and you're okay with the appearance of the knife, definitely go for it. If you're not sure about the appearance and you're going to use this as just a regular flipper, you may want to think twice about it, or maybe wear a Band-Aid. Who knows? But regardless, that's it. That's the Latt Vind Mini from Kizer. Not a bad offering. They've had better. It's very middle of the road for me. So that's that. Now let me set this aside because now it's time for a mystery knife giveaway, as you saw in the title. And today, that mystery knife is going to be none other than the Damn Designs Jin. This is very similar to the Oni, just with a drop point blade instead of a Tanto. You have S35 VN steel and a full titanium handle. So really, really nice little package. This came to me via the Apex Pass-Around group, and they're allowing me to do a giveaway with this. Thanks to them and Damn Designs for their generosity. So with that being said, to make you eligible to win this knife, you simply have to comment in the section for Damn Designs. Damn, that's good. That's all I got to hear. Damn, that's good. And you are entered to win. I will do the drawing on Friday. 1 second here. I'm not fully prepared. I am going to do the drawing Friday being February 26th. Friday, February 26th. I had to grab my other phone because don't have my days quite that in order. I don't look that far ahead most of the time. So there you go. Friday, February 26th. We're going to do a drawing to give this knife away. Comment, damn, that's good in the comments of this video, and you'll be entered to win. I think if you like front flippers, this is an excellent little fifth pocket knife with a very nice little action and very quality materials. So I think just about anyone would enjoy this piece. Great little offering. Thanks again, Damn Designs, for your generosity and making some pretty sweet blades yourself. So with that being said, enter to win that, guys. Let me know what you think about this Kizer Latt Mini. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.